Today was a huge day for the Pathologic fandom, and Ice Pick Lodge did not disappoint. After 5 years of waiting, we finally have a trailer and an idea of what the Bachelor route will look like. And to top it all off, a confirmed release period. To catch everyone up, Pathologic 2 is a game retelling and reimagining the events of the original Pathologic. Because of financial issues and developer burnout, Ice Pick Lodge focused on developing a full and complete route out of the 3 possible routes that can be played in the game. Once that one was complete, they released Pathologic 2 with the promise of releasing the other 2 routes later on. After Pathologic 2's release in 2019, Ice Pick Lodge released the Marble Nest DLC, and in the meantime, while working on the full Bachelor route, they also worked on other projects to financially and creatively revitalize their studio. And after 5 long years of replaying the Haruspecs route and replaying Classic, we finally have not only 42 seconds of a trailer for the Bachelor route, but a confirmed release period. Today, I would like to go through the trailer, what we've been told about the mechanics in previous leaks, and how the developers are describing the game to predict what we might see in Pathologic 3. Before doing that though, I kind of want to do some housekeeping and address a few items. This is a new perspective to the story we see in Pathologic 2, but other than that, it is very much its own new game. I've seen a lot of people get pretty frustrated that Pathologic 3 is a new Steam release versus an add-on to Pathologic 2, thus insinuating we will have to buy it again. If you kickstarted the game in 2014 or any of the following years, you will receive the Bachelor route for free. That's not only been stated by Ice Pick Lodge, but also some of the admins of the fan Discord. Additionally, for those of us that bought the game, but did not kickstart it, thinking that all 3 routes would be in Pathologic 2 eventually, I understand your frustration. I am in that camp. I didn't find Pathologic 2 until 2021, so I missed the bandwagon for the Kickstarter. That being said, there are a variety of reasons that this route took so long, one of them being financial reasons. I am so happy to buy another game if it means supporting IPL and their future projects, especially the Pathologic related ones. I hope as fans of the series, you'll cut them some slack and show the support for this release, as it's been one we've been waiting for a really long time. Another interesting note here that I could have added to the wait times that we've experienced for the Bachelor route is that Tiny Build was removed as the Pathologic publisher and has been replaced in this new release by Hype Train Digital. I'd heard here and there that there were publisher issues, but I wasn't sure if that was, I could not find a reliable source for that. But I think them changing publishers for this new release is indicative of something to that variety. But at the end of the day, I understand. All I'm saying is give them a little slack and a little understanding. We've been waiting on this for a while, and IPL cares so deeply about the Pathologic universe that I would like to support them in however they feel they need to move forward with this game. Please don't hate me. Before we get too far ahead, if you don't mind leaving this video a like and subscribe, it took hours off my life doing the deep dive into everything we know on this game. I'm begging IPL to start putting everything in one place to make my life easier, but that's a joke. But also, a good like and subscribe really helps the algorithm, which in turn helps me, and I want to shout out my good friend Meg over on Twitter, who is always the sounding board for everything I do Pathologic related and has helped me a lot in this video and finding pretty much everything that we know so far about what the Bachelor route may look like. Anyways, before we get into the trailer, I want to give some quick background on where I believe we are narratively in this trailer. I don't think anything I'm going to say is going to be spoiler heavy, but if you are wanting to go into Pathologic 3, which is little background as possible, then please skip to the time on the screen. Okay, in Pathologic Classic, as opposed to Artemy Burak, who's returning to his town to find everything is a steaming pile of shit on fire, Bachelor Dankovsky is an academic who has been working in a lab in the field of thanatology, the study of death. Bachelor Dankovsky has been studying immortality, but has come up short on his research. He's contacted by Isidore Burak, the father of Artemy and resident doctor in the town on the Gorgon. Isidore informs Bachelor Dankovsky that there is a man there who might hold the key to Bachelor Dankovsky's research. Once Dankovsky decides to pursue this lead, he is then contacted by a Professor Tellman, one of his academic superiors. Professor Tellman, or Blondie as I will call him from here on out, informs him, Bachelor Dankovsky, that there will be a plague and epidemic in the town he is visiting, and that if he is unable to curb the outbreak, they will shut down his lab and the ability to further his academic career. Now that the spoiler-ish part is over, I want to talk about what I feel like we're seeing in the trailer. Where I believe we find ourselves in the trailer is at the end of the line, similar to where Artemy found himself at the beginning of the Harspex route. I'll discuss this a little more later on, but one of the mechanics that we've had confirmed for a little bit is time travel and non-linear gameplay. I believe Blondie here is running through the failures of the last 12 days of The Bachelor, and The Bachelor is noticing moments where he could learn more and is traveling back in time to these moments to impact the outcome of his 12 days. We see these photos on screen that come alive as The Bachelor goes to relive these photos in these moments, and I believe this is a great example of how the non-linear gameplay will work. Additionally, it's incredibly hard to see, but there are little notes in between each image that we sort of view and re-experience as The Bachelor. What I believe we are seeing is a movie projector switching between films with notes made by The Bachelor on each film. After consulting Make and some other Patho fans, I believe the first real substantial note we see here has the label of a child on it, which makes sense because we do see a child, either Notkin or Kane, I can't really tell, to put it politely, unalived. But I don't know enough Russian to really comprehend what the others are saying. My guess is that they're alluding to the images we see, but if someone else can speak Russian and wants to provide some insight, that would be awesome. Something else that I think is a clue to what the time travel mechanic will look like is on their Steam page. A lot of the screenshots we have on the Pathologic 3 Steam page don't look like normal open world in-game photos, which granted, IPL has said that this functionally will not be an open world game. They don't want to recreate Artemy's route, but they want to provide a new gameplay experience. So, like I said, we know we're not getting a complete open world game like the Harspex route was. That being said, there are two screenshots that give a hint to how I think the time travel function will work. The two graveyard photos are shown at the same location and on the same day, but at two different angles and two different times of day. It also looks like in these screenshots we see a timeline of the plague and resource management data for these days. I think part of what we will be doing is working to allocate resources and jumping ahead or behind to see the impact of these decisions. In the graveyard screenshots we are there on day 4. And on the timeline screenshot that we see with the data and the table, day 4 is outlined along with an approval for a water filtration decision. Could we be visiting the grave of people who died because of lack of water? Does that even have to do with why the day 4 is outlined on that timeline table? I have no idea. But I do think it's an interesting thing to note. And before we move too far ahead from the time travel mechanic, I want to propose a theory. The Steam photo for Pathologic 3 is a busted lens. I believe this will function as the penalty mechanic in Pathologic 3. For some background, in Pathologic 2, when you die, you take penalties to your needs. I think it's already been confirmed that in Pathologic 3, you will not have combat. Thus, death via bandits is not an immediate threat. I think when the Bachelor potentially fails to save vital people, or misses clues, or fails at the objectives he's given, the camera lens he is using to time travel will take damage. Over time, if it takes enough damage, he'll lose the ability to go back and forth in time, and thus must live with the consequences of his actions. Or this is a crackpot theory, and I'm so off base it's not even funny. You guys let me know what you think about that. So what I believe we're seeing in the trailer is the time travel mechanic being explored and introduced to us. But we also have two other mechanics that have been confirmed in the last few years that I think we see in these 42 seconds. The first is the new hospital experience. We see direct screen grabs from earlier leaks around 21 seconds into the trailer. On December 31st, 2023, IPL put out a teletype discussing the hospital, a new gaming mechanic that challenges the protagonist's intellect. This has been described as how Bachelor will learn more about the plague. He is looking at people who have had abnormal reactions to the plague, which an abnormal reaction to him is living longer than 5 hours. And not only is he studying them in the hospital, but this includes an interview in which occasionally they can lie for their own reasons, which may lead to him going to their home to learn more about their home environment and living conditions, to which could have impacted their survivability of this plague. This looks to be a pretty intense portion of the game, whereas the hospital for the Harspex was sort of an optional thing that you could do to gain favor with the town and also get resources. I think this will be one of the primary places that the Bachelor spends a good chunk of his time. And with a lot of the ways that his gameplay has been advertised, he's very much someone who has to search for clues, put things together, and come up with hypotheses for what's going on. And I think while also going into these set pieces and environments and exploring and seeing how the decisions he's made has impacted these environments, I think another large portion of this investigation will be spent in the hospital. In a sense, he'll be seeing how the plague impacts the environment and shapes the town, but he'll also be looking at it on a very, small, hyper-focused in level on how it's interacting with the people it's infecting. There's something in there about how the town is a living, breathing body. We see that very clearly in the Haruspex's route, and I don't think we're going to see that kind of comparison in the Bachelor's route, but it is interesting that he's exploring it on a town level to see how the plague infects this body of a town and how it shapes the different living, breathing, functioning parts of this town, while also seeing it on a more hyper-focused level of how it's interacting with the human body. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat, but she's very passionate about the plague, I guess. I don't know. Our third mechanic that we have confirmed here is a new instrument that was discussed on December 29th, 2022 on IPL's VK. Around 29 seconds in, we see the Bachelor examining a device. This is the device that IPL discussed on their VK. At least, that is my opinion. It could be an adapted version of the Plague Finder, but I think they would have labeled it as such in this VK post if that is what it was, but they did not give this device a name. So, for now, I'm calling it the Plague Finder 2. The Plague Finder 2 is described as a device that will help the Bachelor interact with the infected environment. They describe this as representing the evolution from the former quote-unquote sight that the Bachelor has to have as someone who is an analyst, but that now the device also functions as a detector. This is all they've said on the device's functions, but I think we can expect it to work sort of like a plague finder, but I guess we'll see. To sort of wrap things up, I want to go over IPL's other websites and social media to see what we can kind of gather and surmise about everything we've learned. On VK, the post to the Steam page was pretty similar to that of their tweet, but they did have this to say that was not on the tweet. This is an independent game, comparable in volume to the previous one. Bachelor Dankovsky, however, is not like Haruspex Barak. He has a different history, a different way of thinking, a different status, and therefore different opportunities. This highlights some of the things we've already been told, whereas the Haruspex was one of the townspeople, thus had to scavenge and work within the in-game economy just to eat and survive. The Bachelor is not a townsperson. By all means, he is a celebrity and someone of status. He will not have to worry about the needs the same way the Haruspex did. Where he will fail and experience that same sort of stress, I believe, is in the management of the town's resources. The VK post goes on to say that the main ones, meaning opportunities, are the ability to constructively foresee and remember, as well as skillfully analyze and give orders. I believe a large part of his gameplay will be managing the high-level aspects of a city in hopes that he can keep it alive long enough to solve the epidemic. Also in the VK post, they advertised their release for mid-2025. Unfortunately, my predictions in my last video that we are getting the Dankovsky route today, being October 7th, 2024, were just simply untrue, but I guess we can't all be perfect. I already went through some of the things that I found on the Steam page that I thought were relevant, such as the busted camera lens being a representation of the penalty mechanic, and the 2 cemetery photos and timeline data being a representation of the time travel gameplay. One quote that kind of stuck out to me, though, was this: "Burnwick can no longer be saved. What was lost in the fire will be found in the ashes." And this was a descriptor on their Steam page. I think this is alluding to some of the main themes of the Bachelor's story. He wants to save everyone. Not only is he this brilliant academic, but he is a doctor. It is his job to save lives. But unfortunately for the town's overall survival, there will be people he misses and parts of the town that perish. Only in what's left in the aftermath of that failure is where he will find clues to combat the plague and save future parts of the town. Clues that he probably could not have found otherwise unless he had failed. His failure is, in essence, the only way he will succeed. And that will be something that he kind of has to grapple with. Or I'm looking way too far into this, but I don't think I am, for once. Pathologic is historically a game that there is just no amount of looking into it that is ever enough. The more you uncover about the game, the more questions you walk away with. And so I think on this one, I don't know if I'm right about that being one of the main themes for The Bachelor, but I do think there are hints to the overall themes to the Bachelor story in this trailer, and I'm excited to hear what everyone else thinks. I never played Pathologic Classic. I finished Pathologic 2, played a little bit of Classic, but not far enough to really get a good grasp of the Bachelor and who he is coming into this. So that's something I wish I had done, but also something that I'm very excited to experience right off the bat as, I wouldn't say a new player, because I've watched so much content, talked about the Bachelor's route extensively. I feel like I'm not going into this without any background knowledge, but in terms of a first playthrough, I am excited to meet the Bachelor and really get into his head a little bit and see kind of what this story looks like from his perspective. Also, as I'm wrapping up the recording for this video, I've had a couple of items sent to me that I just didn't go over. Like, I think someone on Reddit has posted the translations of some of those film slides. And if you look at that timetable data that I've referenced a couple of times from the Steam screenshots, it does look like the town has like new buildings or is like reorganized. Like, it looks very different apparently from the Pathologic 2 town. So I didn't get to go into that today, but I'm certain there are going to be creators out there who do. So make sure you go check out both of those links, and happy theorizing. I'm out of steam. But let me know what you think, guys. I am so over the moon excited for this game. I'm glad, honestly, in hindsight, I'm glad we have a little bit of time before it releases so that we can do some more theorizing and to wrap up some of the other Pathologic 2 stuff that I would like to do. But I'd like to hear what you guys think, so please let me know in the comments below how you liked the trailer, what you're excited for, what you're not excited for. And as a reminder, if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to give it a like, a subscribe, and a comment. It does means a lot to my cat, but it also means a lot to me and a lot to the YouTube algorithm. So also, if you want to come hang out with us in Discord, we talk Pathologic as well as other games, and I'm a little biased, but I think it's a pretty fun community. But thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!